Hey everybody, it's Erin Reed, and I am going to take you through a kind of what I did when I was at a Dina Wakley class, and it was a little over a year ago, and there's a reason why I've delayed quite a bit in terms of showing you what I did in the class. I asked her while I was there if she wouldn't mind when I came home doing a video on what I had learned, and she goes, well, and I completely get why, that's 100% understandable. She says, well, yes and no. You can talk about the class and a little bit of some stuff, but don't give away everything that I taught, because that's what she does. She goes around and teach classes, and if I give away all of her trade secrets, more than what she would do if she was at a trade show or something, then why would somebody go to her class? And I'm like, I completely understand. So I purposely, it's been like a year and a half, so heck if I remember everything that was there. There's a couple things that stuck, and I've seen her mention it a few other times on other channels and at other places. So I feel comfortable kind of telling you those things, and those are the things that it did. It's not a problem, I don't think, if I mention it to you guys. But I went to this because this was right after the launch of her new journal. And so this is that fabulous mixed media journal that she has. And I've jumped in a couple of times. I did some of that string art stuff in here just to see how it worked. And it's got these amazing pages in it. It's got some watercolor pages, really super thick watercolor pages. It's got burlap sheets. Now, again, this was a year and a half ago, so I purposely have left this without me even pretty much cracking open the book and thinking about the class in a while, just so that I wouldn't try to remember too much. I know it's a bad thing to say, but I didn't want to overshare too much anyway. It's got canvas pages. Look at that, so pretty. And then it also has craft pages. While we're at the class, I put my little thumbnails up here. This was the first page we did. But first, I want to show you some pictures. This is at the Crafty Scrapper, which is here in Texas. It is about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive for me. And here's a few pictures of the store and the class starting and her stamp sitting out and stuff. So check it out. So she's got some really cool stuff. You also saw me sitting there, and it was like a table of 4, and we all had a collection of different fun things, and a completely brand new, never been cracked open book, which is kind of fun. But getting an art journal is kind of cool. We ended up doing 3 pages, and here's the cool part. A lot of ladies that showed up for the class ended up doing the class. I went to the afternoon class because I had a bit of a drive, and the first class, I think it started at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, and I was not getting up at 5 in the morning to start driving, or 6 or whatever it was going to be to get there on time. So I went to the afternoon class. Well, a lot of people stayed for the first class, then were at the second class, and she had the same class scheduled for both times. So on the fly, she said, do you mind if I change the class? And nobody in the room was like, no. Everybody was happy, because then they could learn something different. So she completely did this class on the fly, and that tells you something about an instructor, which is fantastic. That she has so much depth of information that she can just off the cuff come up with something pretty cool. So this is what we did. We got to play with her heavy-bodied paints, which you guys saw. We pretty much, I'm going to kind of give you a general basic idea. We did a general wash, and everybody kind of created this page together. She took us step by step by step. We went on the craft paper. She even signed it for me. Isn't that nice? It says, Erin, make a mess, which is what she's all about, and I love that. We did a wash paint, and she had a bunch of colors, and then we kind of went through and we stamped and stenciled over top of that paint, and lots of fun colors, really making a mess. One of the things that she did mention is that when you have an art journal, you don't have to cover the entire page, and I have a bad habit of doing that. She goes, just do the section, just do a middle of it, just do a corner. Just do a stripe, just do across the page. There's nothing that says you have to fill every inch of the page for it to be an art journal. There's something that says that, which is kind of cool. Another fun thing that she did is that we could take this washi tape stuff, which is right along here. It's basically a washi tape that you can add something to, and we did a whole bunch of fun stuff with that. We went through, and here's some layers, and then we also did some other pieces on here. We did a lot of what she calls vomit on a page. That's how we got the circle pieces here, how we did the pieces for the birds here. I'm going to show you a couple quickie pictures. They're going to come up of kind of like some stages at the end, but I'm not going to talk too much about what happened. I'm going to let you kind of digest kind of the stages of my page. But she calls it vomit on a page. Basically, you take a section like this purple, and this is what it looked like. And then you can cut it up small. And her idea is, and her concept is when the more you add to a large piece, and just add layer and layer and layer and layer and layer on top. And that's how I got all those fun layers, that purple. But you don't use it as a whole. You cut it up, and we stamped the pieces of the bird wings and then cut them out and layered over top of another bird, and then just did a little paint on top of that. And then put those birds that were colored over top of this tag, which we washi taped in the center here. As you can see, we just taped the sucker in. That's all we did. We just taped it in, layered it in there, and called it done. It's pretty cool. We also took strips of the washi tape and we added it to pieces. And everybody's like, not everybody did a bird. Not everybody did a star or a circle. Everybody did fun, different shapes, which I think is kind of cool. We played with some, like I said, her stencils. We stamped, we splattered. We did some, like we took a pen and we just did swirls on here. I mean, there was really no rhyme or reason to. It was just adding layers and layers and layers of fun. But the cool thing I got out of this one was the vomit on a page, which was taking the piece like this purple, tons of layers of color. You kind of set it off to dry. You come back and do a page. And she's a firm believer in you let everything air dry. She doesn't use heat guns for anything. So there was lots of get something set up over here, like put the paint down and then come over here and work on getting your vomit on the page. Come back, do another layer of something. Well, that dries, come back and then do something else. And so it was lots of shove that off to the side while we work over here, which I thought was pretty fun. So that was one of the pages that we did right there. We also did the vomit on the page. That's her term, not mine. I think it's absolutely hilarious. I love it. Where you could also do it with this washi tape that she has. And I know I've mentioned that a couple times. So it's this washi tape that's right here. And basically it's this piece. We took a whole bunch of strips and laid them down. And here's the picture. And we just stamped on it and we did all kinds of fun stuff. And then that's what we used to kind of help hold these pieces down. And I think I just used it for here and here. And I was able to bring a couple pieces home. So next week you're going to see me playing with a little bit of that washi tape and kind of that concept of what she's doing with the vomit on the page, which is kind of fun. And I've, since then, a year and a half later, I have used that concept of get a whole bunch of stuff messy, but just cut out a small piece and it looks really cool. So I have incorporated that concept into my art, which I love. All right, so there's the first piece. And I love the fact that she has this little flappy thing in there. So we did this whole thing and then we add the flap and she's like, yeah, just stick it right there in the middle. I was like, oh, that's cool. And the other thing that she thinks of is that fact that you can take a stamped image and you can see this little circle right here. Now that I'm holding it, and she cut it in half. She goes, place it right and place something that crosses that barrier to keep it continuous, to make it feel like it is one page. Like you have the green stripe going all the way across. You know, and pick a bright color as your background and then layer darker colors over top of that. And don't stencil everywhere, like have pieces of stencils here and there. I mean, so it's very much, it's kind of cool how her thought process and how she kind of is leading you towards getting into the messy, which I think is fun. This is my neighbor's version, so let me take a picture of it so you can see how different her page that we did as a class is different from mine. Okay, another one that we did, no, not that one. This is the second one, and this was another one that was, she had only planned to do this with us, but we kind of went so fast that she said, do you want to do a second one? All of us were like, yeah. You know, we're here, we have the stuff, let's have some fun. This one, I didn't do any step out photos of what we were doing, but again, it was kind of the vomit on the page idea. So what we did over here is we just layered lots and lots of layers of stencils and paints, and this is on the canvas right here. And she said, don't worry about it if you get stuff on the backside, because you know what? That's more layers that you're going to add for the next time. Or you put something over top of that, or this becomes a frame, or whatever you want to do. I mean, there's so many ways that you can look at that one. And then once we were done, she goes, seriously, just cut that out. Get your scissors, cut that section out. We cut that section out. And then while this was, well, before we cut it out, we let this dry, and then we came over to this page. We did lots and lots of layers of fun over here. We did, you know, you can see some of the stencils of paints and stuff. And then we cut this section out and we created a pocket over here. So this piece right here was what was over here. And we used 3 giant sheets of washi. So this is a very, very fast page to create this pocket that you could add whatever you wanted to. She goes, I'm going to let you take it home and decide what you want. And then she had a whole bunch of little sticker sheets where it was, you know, little sentiments and stuff. So we stuck those on there as well. And she goes, and now you have a page over here that you can do some fun stuff. And then here's, again, the same neighbor. She let me take a picture of her version of this page and how different hers is from mine as well. So I thought that was cool. In the meantime, while none of the well, there was a few concepts that were brand new to me. It was fun just to kind of be in the room and to be around all the people. I puttered around and I made another page. And so I took some of the extra. This is the washi tape right here. So these little pieces right here, this was some of the extra washi tape that we left from the vomit on the page washi, that all we did was do this. Well, I had made 5 strips and I had all these strips left over. And so I was like, well, let me go and do something fun. And so I just kind of washed. This was not a taught class. This was me just playing while I was there with the materials that were sitting around me. So I kind of was doing this number while, you know, something was drying over here or she was talking about it. I'd flip over, I would let this dry, and then I would come back over here. So I was double dutying and not being a very good student, but that's okay. And so I just did lots of adding paint and smushing it around, and then adding some stencil and smushing it around, stamping with some paint. That was another fun thing you do. You can actually stamp with paint, stenciling with paint. That was kind of fun. And then I just took the washi tape that was left over and I just kind of gridded it out and went on a diagonal. So you can see I've got some strips coming here, strips here, a couple strips, another big one here. And then I added some white circles. So I just took the bottom, or a cap. It might have been a stamp. I don't remember if it was a stamp. It's like I said, it's been a while ago. And added a big bright color. And then she had a stencil of a girl's head. And I did that in a big different color than I had been using, red, so it would pop. If I had continued doing that in the greens and the blues, you wouldn't see it. It would get lost in the colors. So if you're going to do something that's going to pop, that's different, again, kind of like why I did the purple here, she goes, pick a color that's completely the opposite spectrum. So since it had all blues and greens, I wanted to pick a different color so you would see these pops of color, which is the concept behind this too. So I kind of carried over a little bit of her concept, but that's not a new thing. Stenciled her in and then just added ordinary people can do extraordinary things, which I think is fun. So that was kind of the nutshell of what we did in her class. It was pretty cool. I had a blast. She is a sweetheart. She is absolutely hilarious. You know, she was laid back. It was such a cool, easy, relaxed class. Sometimes in a class you feel rushed, you feel panicked. Nobody felt that way. It was an amazing class. If you ever have an opportunity to go to take one of her classes, do it. It is an experience you will not forget. You will love it, especially if you're in the I love to get messy field. Now, if you are a I cannot get paint on my hands and a super clean crafter, this isn't the thing for you. But just to experience a class with her was fantastic. I've taken classes from a number of people, Tim Holtz, I mean, just a ton of people, and she is on the top of my list, if not the top, of fun things to do in a class because she really lets you just kind of go. There's no, you have to follow strict instructions. And that's the kind of class I like. I like being able to go in my own direction, and nobody's page, like this first page that we did together that took up most of the time, hardly anybody's page looked the same. The only thing that was similar was the fact that we had this wash of paint, but everybody's colors were different. The stamps they picked, I mean, it was so unique. It was so cool. It was so different. So thanks so much for stopping by and checking out my art pages, my art journal pages from my Dina Wakley journal that we did at her class. It was an absolute fun class. Go to it. I cannot stress enough. Go to one of her classes. She's phenomenal. Check out, see where she's teaching next. I'm sure she's got it listed. She's got a Facebook group. Go check that out where she shows off all of kind of her new fun things. And she's got some pretty cool stuff. And I know she just came out with a gel press for herself, a jelly plate, which is cool. And it's pretty fun stuff. So you got to go check all that mess out because it's so cool. So again, thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys again later. Bye-bye.